Coming up on this month's edition of the RMAC Showcase, we invade the Cornhusker State and set down our roots at Chadron State College, where the Eagles are flying high. The volleyball team is off to the best start this millennia, and we'll meet a few reasons why. Plus, it's coined student athlete, and what's the best way to make sure your athletes do well in school? Hire teachers as coaches. That's worked well for the Eagles. And changes are happening all over campus, from facility upgrades to new sports. Don't worry, we'll talk about them all as the RMAC Showcase starts right now. Welcome to Chadron, Nebraska, which boasts a population of about 6,000 people and is also home to Chadron State College. And that's exactly where we're going to spend all of our time on this edition of the RMAC Showcase. Hello everyone, I'm Jason Carter, your host for the next 30 minutes of Eagle Madness. Now, just over to my left a little bit is the volleyball court, which has seen some of the greatest success this century from the volleyball team. There have been a lot of firsts this year for the Chadron State volleyball team.
Their energy whenever they come into the gym is always really high. Ever since that first day of practice when we started, they just come in with a lot of energy.
Like the first time starting conference play 2-0 since 1993.
For us, I think it's just been a confidence thing, because I don't think talent-wise we're much further than we have been in the past, but just knowing what we can do and having the confidence to actually go out and do it.
Or putting together the most wins in a season since 2003. And there are still a few weekends left in the regular season.
This year we have been playing really well as a team. We have great chemistry in practice, and that's really showing in games. So this year we've really been focusing on breaking down the little things, and that just has transferred over to games, and we've gained a lot of confidence.
A new head coach has certainly attributed to the team's great start, but it's the emphasis on the defensive side of the ball that has really turned things around.
Defense is probably my biggest coaching philosophy. I really harp on our defense behind the block. We go over it every day in practice for quite a bit of practice. It's just one of my biggest things. We talk about the ball shouldn't hit the floor without somebody being behind it or near it.
The Eagles rank in the top 5 in the conference in opponents' hitting percentage, solo blocks, and digs.
One thing that we've done better is blocking, just from our, my standpoint. Blocking in our position looks a lot better. And I think just having the confidence, even when we are down a few points or even a lot of points, just having the same calm mindset that we can still come back.
CSC also has 2 individuals who rank highly in the national categories. Senior Ashton Burdett is 5th in the country in digs per set, while junior Chandler HAGEMAN is 12th in the country in blocks per set.
Blocking has always been one of my strongest suits in volleyball, I guess. Since high school we worked on it a lot, and it's kind of just been a thing that I've always worked on. I mean, I'm pretty quick in the middle, so I think that helps a lot with it, but I'm getting a lot better with reading setters and reading where it's going, so that has helped me a lot this year.
The RMAC volleyball semifinals and finals take place October 22nd and 23rd. They say a team is like family, and it's not uncommon to see siblings play on the same squads. Well, here at Chadron, they take it one step further. Off to one of the best starts in school history, the Chadron State volleyball team is relying on their experience.
A lot of people who aren't freshmen who are playing are upperclassmen and do have a lot of experience, which I think helps a lot as well.
For some on the roster, that experience goes beyond their time in an Eagle uniform. While not too uncommon at the high school level, at the collegiate level, that's a different story. Chadron State boasts 2 sets of sisters.
I feel really close with everyone, but it's just crazy to be able to play with my sister. We got to play 1 year together when we were in high school, because she was a senior and I was a freshman, and we were the same position then too. So it's just kind of cool that we're still the same position and we're going to play together for 2 years this time instead of 1.
The HAGEMANs and KEISELs make up about a quarter of the CSC roster, and they wouldn't have it any other way.
When Karsten signed, we were all really excited to be able to have 2 sets of sisters. It's really rare that you get to play with your sister at a college level, so it's just really cool, and I'm excited that they get to go through it too, because it's such a cool experience, so I'm glad someone else gets to experience it.
The elder sisters, TIMMI KEISEL and Chandler HAGEMAN, are both starters for the Eagles and rank in the top 5 on the team in kills, hitting percentage, and blocks.
When my sister came, this team just really did feel like a family, just because of how close we've all been, and it's something like nothing I've ever experienced before. But then last year it was way cool that my sister decided to come. And it's just awesome because we've always been really close, so it's just really cool to have my best friend here, and then my parents and all of my family is just so much more tied to the program for that reason as well.
It was fun in high school too, but I was a senior, she was a freshman. We didn't really play together, you know, we were split up from freshman to JV and varsity, but like now we're together a lot and we get to actually play a lot in practices, especially when we play 6-on-6, and it's different when I'm like hitting at her and she's digging my swings.
So while most teams have to find that family feel, the Chadron State volleyball team had no problem accomplishing that.
Every game. My mom hasn't missed a game yet this year, so she traveled to Kansas and came to our home tournament. She's been to every game.
A lot of my high school friends still come to our games, so it's like nothing's changed and the atmosphere is like still so much fun, but it's even bigger now.
Student and athlete is not an unfamiliar combination of words, but coach and teacher, well, especially at the college level, has a little bit of an unfamiliar ring to it. But as Jace Hampstead shows, it's a combination that has been working well on this campus.
So let's take a look at this first example.
Robert Stack has been a mathematics professor for 21 years and is currently the chair of the department. But that's not the only position students around campus know him in.
Come on, Ellie! Go! Here it is, here it is! Go!
He led the Eagles to a couple of RMAC tournaments during his 10 years as the head softball coach for the university.
For the spring semester, at the beginning when I first was coaching, I would still teach a full load of 12 hours. But then maybe about 4 or 5 years into the tenure of coaching softball here, they ended up moving away from that.
It's extremely rare for a college coach to do anything other than coach. With the time requirements of recruiting and road trips, it's certainly not easy.
It's really kind of uncommon for coaches to also teach as well.
But Chadron State has a history of individuals tackling the challenges of being an academic professor and coaching a collegiate sport.
It was busy times, and so you did the best you could. You know, you spent a lot of hours in the office, and the recruiting, I think, was the most difficult time.
A Hall of Fame wrestling coach at Chadron, Scott Ritson, is the godfather of teaching and coaching.
Well, I'd have to say I would evaluate the experiences as very positive for myself. Sure, I suppose when I was, not sleeping much and going to 2 practices a day, one for football, one for wrestling, I guess back then I would have thought maybe a little differently, but I don't think I would have changed anything.
Over the years, the university has began separating the coaching from the teach, but the older Ritson filled 2 capacities for more than 20 years, and now his son is following in his footsteps.
The main difference, I think, is probably the relationships you build with the athletes versus students. With the athletes, you're just with them so much more that it's almost impossible not to get to know them on a very personal basis, especially when you recruit them to be here and kind of get to know their families and stuff. And I really enjoy that part of the coaching.
Coping with the challenges is something that might not ever change.
A little less sleep and a little more coffee to get the job done.
For the RMAC Showcase, I'm Jace Hampstead.
Thank you, Jace. That does it for the first segment in this edition of the RMAC Showcase. When we come back, we'll take to the gridiron with a familiar name. We'll be back after this timeout.